I brought some grapes. I love building communities and connecting people. You know, and if you look at these grapes, you see little dots being connected with each other, but holding together and making them one unity. So with Food Campus Berlin, we are building a big innovation center for the future of food here in Berlin. We need to ensure that everyone is able to afford a healthy and sustainable diet.
What would have been the one thing you've learned from this experience?
Collaboration is the new competition. Our world is way too complex. It's not about being the best at everything by yourself anymore. It's really about finding strong partners and collaborating with them. And this way, everything is going to move faster. If you really work at the forefront of innovation, you also need to be close to the politics. And that is one thing that makes Berlin unique. Only 20% of founders in Germany are actually female. Now the numbers even dropped, we're at 18%.
Is that because women are not interested in entrepreneurial lives, or is because they don't have the support or the opportunity?
There's a McKinsey study that showed that diverse C-level teams within businesses are 60% more profitable.
What's the next billion-dollar opportunity in food tech?
There's many. That's the beauty of it.
Hello one and all, welcome to Unboxing the Future. I'm your host, Ian the Machine.
And I'm Iva Jankovic.
Berlin has always reinvented itself. Look just the last decades. It has gone from being an accessible playground for artists and hackers to become the capital of science and tech. With talent, innovation, and investment in place, how is Berlin becoming the powerhouse of deep tech and impact businesses? Well, that's the topic we're going to be unboxing today with our special guest.
And our guest to help us do that, she is a key driver in Berlin for sustainable food and diversity, a scientist that went to entrepreneurship, turning ideas into action, CEO of Food Campus and co-founder of Women in Climate Tech. Please welcome Leah Carlucci.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
Welcome, Leah.
Thank you for coming.
Leah, we always ask our guests to bring an object that represents them professionally. What object did you bring and what is the story behind?
You introduced me, sustainable food, so I have to bring something that is food related. I brought some grapes because of different things. I mean, one, they're some of my favorite fruits. Mm-hmm. Secondly, because they are very climate sensitive food or fruit, which means they are very sensitive to the changes in our environment. And I personally love grapes, and I would like my grandkids to also be enjoying them. But as it looks right now, they're going to become a luxury. Already in the last 2 years, the production decreased by 20%, and trend significantly going down. In the production, that means prices going up. And I want to change that. I mean, grapes is just one single example. There are many more food categories that are at risk. And in a more metaphorical or symbolic way, I love building communities and connecting people. You know, and if you look at these grapes, you see little dots being connected with each other, but holding together and making them one unity.
I love the community relation. Now I cannot stop seeing a lot of people hanging out together. They're literally hanging together. Let's make this a new expression. Let's hang like grapes, you know.
Well, but hopefully don't become endangered as much as what you're highlighting.
And Leah, can you make a sound with it?
Let me try. What can do this?
Okay, yeah, that works. So I asked you if you could make a sound with it because now we're gonna do a music jam. I'm gonna create a beat using the sounds of my body, voice, and everyday objects. And you're gonna join me with the grapes and nice. Eva with her object. Can join me.
They held very well. I expected more grapes to go.
Yeah, super nice.
Yeah, the community stay together.
Exactly. The bonds are strong enough. I love that. Amazing.
Nice.
Thank you, that was fun.
First time I jammed with the grapes, and I have jammed with many things, lots of things you cannot even imagine. It's the first time someone was making music grapes, so you can take the headphones out if you want, Liam.
Amazing. So I want to start with my first question. It's a little bit broader, a little bit future-oriented. And my first question is, what is the future of food?
Future of food.
Yeah.
I mean, the future is a very big topic, always. It's one of my favorite topics, but what do we talk about? I think, are we talking about 2030, 2050? You know, there's so many different futures we can be considering. In the work we do, we always look at the more intermediate future, because if we look at the historically development, we could claim to know what in 100 years the future of food is going to look like, but realistically, we don't really know. The beauty of the future is always that it's not set. Like whatever we do today is going to influence how the future looks today. And in terms of food, I believe that the future should be a very sustainable and healthy food system. That means it nourishes the human body. It is ethically correct. That means it also oversees the values of other beings. That could be plants, animals, and it is, it's inclusive. It's a very broad. I mean, I can narrow down what that means if you want, but
no, I think it's good.
And
healthy and sustainable. Yeah. It's a very simple.
I love the inclusive. It's something I wouldn't connect to food, but actually is the key of it, right? From the perspective of everybody having access to it.
Yes.
The way it's produced has all the elements in consideration, right? Like all of this.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's one of the big stereotypes when we talk about sustainable food, that it's obviously that's the elite, that's Berlin Mitte, Berlin, Prenzlauer Berg. They can afford only buying organic. But if look at the social diversity that the city Berlin, for example, has to offer, we need to ensure that everyone is able to afford a healthy and sustainable diet.
Yeah, exactly.
So you said food systems. What does food systems actually mean?
So that's also, you can think within a city, how does food system work there, but also on a global scale. Look at that means like the entire supply chain. Who grows food, who produces food, who distributes food, who ensures food prices. So all of these different variables that come together to then the food that we have on our plate.
So moving on to my next question, what's the next $1 billion opportunity in food tech?
There's many. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, that's nice. Tell us. Let's become billionaires.
Yeah.
So I feel like when you are within the food ecosystem, you feel many trends are already like above the curve. But if you then look on a broad, like global scale, many of them are still in the very early phase of innovation. And the whole category of alternative proteins, for example. So plant-based meats, for example, or cell-based or fermentation-based, there's still so much to unpack. And if we look at the market share of meat alternatives, we're at 1%. That means 99% of meat that's being consumed is still animal-based meat. And that just shows how much more room for innovation there is. So there are still many opportunities to uncover within that. Then anything that I believe is going to be a huge future topic is upcycling or using side streams of a food. Let's take the grapes, for example. We, in the end, actually only eat like 50% of the actual food. Here, the stems go to waste. Or if you take a banana, the peel goes to waste, and you only eat the fruit inside. And there's so much we can actually be doing and creating value with the current food waste. Then that, I think, is a really strong opportunity. There's a company that we work closely with for the food camps, and they managed to upcycle the seeds of the shells of nuts. So if you think of a walnut, for example, the shell you throw out, but you only eat the nut. And if you then could actually create products and integrate the shell also in the foods. That means you can lower your costs, so it's cost efficient as a producer if you do something with nuts. And of course, you close the whole loop of sustainability.
So there are people already investigating on that field?
On many, yes, or turning them into construction materials, there's a company doing apricot kernels, turning them into a protein source. There's so much fun stuff happening in the circularity of food systems.
Related to the lab food, you said, how is the acceptation, research on that? How is the acceptation of lab meat?
So I always like to, think of, I don't like using the word lab meat because that already puts a certain narrative on it. That's a very term that's used by, certain popular media. I always like to think of meat as a mathematical formula, and you have different variations that go into it. One is the ingredients, like the raw material. One is the sensory expression, how the texture, the taste. So you have these two main variables, and with cell-based or with plant-based, what we're essentially doing, you have the same output, but we're just changing the ingredient, the raw material. But it's the same product in the end, just different ingredients. And consumer acceptance for cell-based is still very small, but that's also because of the regulatory challenges we're facing in Europe. If you are working in that space, you're not even allowed to test these products with consumers here. So what a lot of the companies in that space are doing, they're going to Singapore. Singapore has a really strong food strategy. They need to ensure that, that's their goal, of securing 30% of the foods by 2030 actually in-house or within the country. And Singapore is a city-state, so they don't have any agricultural land, so they need to turn to vertical farming, to cell-cultivated meats and other consumer categories. And that's why they are a perfect testing ground for many of these companies. But again, if you test in Singapore, that doesn't automatically reflect the taste palette of European or German consumers. So there are many regulatory hurdles, and then it's the popular media narrative that's put on top of that, of claiming that cell-based meat is, it's chemical, it's lab-grown, these dangerous terms. But if we look at the way that currently meat, 97% of meat is produced,
it's scary.
That's a factory, that's chemical processing.
Pharmacy in the little, yeah.
But with animals.
We always have that picture of the happy cows on the farmland. That actually is only 3 to 5% of the meat that is being consumed.
And do you know if in Singapore people are enjoying this food?
Yes.
Or consuming, they're oh, that's good.
I mean, Singaporeans, I don't want to claim to know. I haven't even been myself to Singapore, so that's only in the outside in perspective now. But people in Singapore, as I perceive, are very open-minded to various fields of innovation, and being food is one of them.
Nice, very interesting topic. I'd like to ask you the question that is the thread for the whole season, which is the one that I said in the intro of the show. So Berlin has the talent, Berlin has the innovation, has the investment. I'd like to know from your perspective, how is Berlin becoming an impact businesses and deep tech powerhouse?
So Berlin, as it's, I'm going to speak from the food narrative, and that of course translates to other categories. But Berlin has brilliant science institutions. We have really strong talents, good universities. Around the Charité, we have Germany's leading health cluster, and then we have Berlin, Brandenburg. I always consider them close, friendly neighbors. We have the German Institute for Nutrition Research in Potsdam. We have the Robert Koch Institute. So Fraunhofer, there's so much scientific knowledge within that city, and that paired with the great talents and the openness that exists within the city to test innovations. That is really, because we have such an international diverse crowd, over 25% of people in Berlin have an international background, and they bring in different influences, inspirations from their own countries, but at the same time, they are also open to explore and to try new innovations. So I think it's like the perfect testing ground for anyone who wants to do something within innovation. It's like an early adopter dream place to be.
Nice, yeah.
I love that. And maybe to stick around, like from your I mean, you're a Berliner. Like if I may disclose, a fourth generation Berliner, which
Seriously?
is... Yeah, I'm right.
Yeah,
right?
I only found that out actually recently, that it's already in the fourth generation.
If I had to guess, I would say you're from the US. Like your English is so like perfectly American that I would say, I think if I had to guess, I think she's American. Amazing.
I lived in the US for a bit.
Okay.
For a tiny.
But I want to ask you, because you started many businesses yourself, and now also, running Food Campus, but also Women in Climate Tech, and you also have more projects on the side. What are some of key things, or what are the three positive things that Berlin offered to you, or that the landscape of Berlin offered to a business?
To a business or to
your businesses? Maybe to a business, but from your perspective.
I think I can speak about that generally. I am from Berlin originally, so of course that brings me here as a person. But I've also lived other places. What I really love about Berlin is like the freedom of self-expression. Everyone can be themselves in whatever weird habit or fun thing you have, you love to do. I live in Prenzlauer Berg, and there's an area where every Saturday they play Quidditch, the game from Harry Potter. There's a group of people coming together playing Quidditch. It's like, I didn't even know that's a real thing, but
how are they flying?
There is beer yoga offered in Prenzlauer Berg. It's like, there's so many weird, fun things you can do. So that personally I love about Berlin, of just being that place of self-expression. And in a business context, it is, you can translate it, it's the serendipity of like, there's so many events happening, so many cool initiatives you could join, and you're gonna meet amazing people. And you don't even need to host these events. Like the infrastructure is already in place. And I've actually met, for my first company, I met my co-founder at a club. Like, so we were introduced by a friend, but we didn't come there with business ambition, but you quickly realize, it's serendipity brought us together. And I've also met many other business contacts on a very unconventional ways. And this is because the city just is so vibrant.
I love the first story because it's so Berlin, right? Like if this was an ad, like, come to Berlin, you're going to meet your co-founder in a club. Like
I actually think there was a campaign saying exactly like that. Something like that. I think might even be from Berlin Partner.
Yeah, but it's not only, Berlin has, that's in a global or international context, people often, if they think of Germany, they think of currywurst and cars. If they think of Berlin, they think of nightlife. Yeah. But I was like, that is one element, and that's a crucial element to the city, but we have so much more to offer. Exactly. You mentioned deep tech science. That is also one area where we're really strong, but I believe as a city we don't advocate it enough yet.
And that's exactly our goal with this series of episodes we're doing. But it's just that the crossroad was so perfect, right? Yeah. Because everybody knows for the nightlife, and come enjoy the club, and you're also gonna get business. Like, amazing. Yeah.
I love that. I mean, you mentioned already so many things that make Berlin a good place for a business, but maybe to ask you from your experience as contributing to VCs, like how attractive is Berlin for VCs, and how is the VC landscape here?
So, I mean, the whole tech development really started in the early 2000s here in Berlin with the Samwer brothers, Rocket Internet, and that, them being the incubator for tech innovation, and that really drew a lot of other VCs into that space. Mm-hmm. And there's only a few that are actually, all across the city. The majority of VCs are within Rosenthaler Platz and like 1 square kilometer around. So it's it's ecosystem within an ecosystem. Mm-hmm. And what draws them here is, originally they came because of the startup ecosystem. We had strong founders, and again, we have we have good talents, we have international talents, English-speaking people, tech talents that draws, the investors here. You want to be where the innovation is originated, where it's created. And of course, one other thing that's more the startups, but if you really work at the forefront of innovation, you also need to be close to the politics. And that is one thing Berlin, makes Berlin unique in comparison to other German cities, is really having that direct angle to the policymakers.
Interesting. I have a question that is a perfect segue to that, which is, if you were advising an international VC, what would be the one thing that they need to know or understand about Berlin to invest in here?
To move here as a...
No, if you would be advising an international VC, what would be the one thing you would make clear to them, or something that they would need to understand to start investing in Berlin scene?
Oh, what I've learned with VCs, it's always good to create FOMO. If you say, which is true, 60% of the venture capital that is invested within Germany is invested in Berlin. Mm-hmm. So you already know, okay, this is an ecosystem I need to be part of somehow. But I would always advocate for like finding the best solutions. And if they come from Berlin, if they come from Munich, or if they come from Hamburg, it doesn't automatically mean, I think for different industries, it's different cities or different areas of this country. And I always see myself, I am from Berlin, but I'm a European. And I really strongly believe we also have to foster that mindset, also with current geopolitical developments, the more international and as a unity, we can consider ourselves the stronger. And it's the same in Germany. So for Food Campus Berlin, we are building strong partnerships with Unternehmertum in Munich, with some innovation hubs in Hamburg, with Heilbronn, which is, they're building the EPI, a big AI campus. They're building also a lot of other innovation hubs there. So it's really fostering strong collaborations.
Yeah, now that you said that, I see a different way to rephrase that sentence is, if you're advising this international VC, is there anything that you tell them that they should pay attention that is different if they would be investing in Munich or London or any other European city, for example? I think that would be...
Yeah, okay. Then it would be aware that Berlin isn't automatically a representation for the rest of Germany. Berlin is it's like an island within the rest of the country. So if you do invest into, it always depends also again on the industry, but if you invest in a Berlin-based startup or company, a science project versus elsewhere, there could be different dynamics. Just be aware of that. That is one thing I would advise the VC of.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, it's good.
And again, as I said, like creating FOMO. It
I love that part. I could already see like a full capsule on that, like 60% of Berlin. Yeah, FOMO, it's a nice one, nice trick.
That, and if you're in Berlin, grab your morning coffee around Rosenthaler Platz and pitch to the person in the queue. You're most likely
and
will be
one more thing, like more of a, be aware of what you talk about when you have lunch around Rosenthaler Platz. Because I've sat there, because I was involved in a few VCs, and I've sat there for lunch or coffee, and I've heard so many sensitive information just randomly on tables next to me. Even if I don't try to listen, you just overhear so much. Also, the other way around, I believe I've shared a lot of confidential information that probably shouldn't have been spread. So it's eavesdropping.
It's cool and funny to see Rosenthaler Platz as the VC center of Berlin. Now every time I'm going to ride there, I'm going to think about that. It's funny.
Exactly. I think it's time.
Yeah, so now it's time for the questions out of the box. Woohoo. So we told our community that we would receive someone of your industry in here, and they send us these questions for you too.
Which it doesn't matter which.
You can choose one box and take one question out of the box.
Should I read it out loud?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't really understand the question.
Okay, maybe
what
you
is
can
the
read
question?
and we can maybe help.
Yeah. Can women still use the minority? Oh, the minority card in business. So in the sense, if we
Are
can...
they still a minority, I guess? Considered a minority in business?
Oh, 100%. I mean, so if we, speaking about the startup VC ecosystem, because that's what we've been doing, only 20% of founders in Germany are actually female founders. The
20%?
Number that was 2023. Now the numbers even dropped. We're at 18%. And if you look at VC money being allocated, we are, it's only 2% of global VC capital that is actually invested in all female teams. So I wouldn't even call it like playing. For me, there's already a certain narrative to this question. Yeah. It's not about playing a card. It's about just aiming for parity. And if we look at the statistics, it's also there's a McKinsey study that showed from actually last year that showed that diverse founding teams or diverse C-level teams within businesses are 60% more profitable. And that is not only gender, the gender dynamic in terms of diversity, but also like you can translate this similar to women. And it's not only about playing a card or reaching parity of feminism. It's about making economically strategic, smart decisions. If you want to be more profitable, you better have some women in your, or have a diverse C-level team.
It's interesting what you said. I don't have the information, and maybe you have. Is there's only 20% of female founders in Germany, and is that because women are not interested in entrepreneurial lives, or is because they don't have the support or the opportunity? It's
a mix of both. It's not either or. It's one. We in life in general, we just gonna move. We follow role models. We need to. If I don't see that there are other women doing certain things, it might be harder for me to even picture myself in such a role. So we already have really strong female founders, but the more we can lift them and show them publicly, the better it is for the entire ecosystem. That's one thing, but then it's also many of the investment teams are mostly men, and it's men like to. It's unbiased. It's unconscious bias. Men like to invest in people that are similar to them. Let's put it that way. And I've had many conversations with female founders. One was really I just want to point out that really shocked me. It's 2 female founders, both engineers. They come from MIT. They're super strong, smart women, and they developed an app. And they got asked by investors, who actually built that app?
No.
You guys are the face of it, but who actually built it?
No.
And if you hear, I've heard thousands of these stories. And then you see there's so much unconscious bias. The investor didn't even think it was sexist or anything to ask the question. He was asking seriously. And I've heard thousands of these stories. And that's also why we started Women in Climate Tech, to really bring female entrepreneurs and female investors together to create a safe space where they can exchange, they can collaborate, but also to create a platform to show more role models in that space.
Yeah, I think role models is the key, right? There is even this study that shows that records are super easy to break once someone passed the first barrier. So if, I think the study was made with running, after someone crossed that threshold that was kind of impossible at one point, it was much easier to then go over that because someone did, so now I can do it, right? So that's how more or less breaking records happens. One needs to cross the threshold that is there established, and once that threshold is established, people start to overcome it, so.
Yeah, but one thing that I'm always surprised, also being a woman, there's so many women in history that were, either the scientists behind the breakthrough from medicine to, big changes in arithmetics or discovering universes, etc. There's this beautiful book series for children about strong women. So it's not like we don't have role models, but they're just not seen, I guess. They're not breaking through in many ways, or...
They are. I mean, we also, within the current business world, we have some female role models, but I think it's everyone has their own narrative, their own industry they work in. So it's not about those few Nobel Prize female winners, but it's about also whatever. Take music production, for example. I don't know who is female leaders within music production. I can tell you for food, but so whatever industry you're in, you need to be able to look up to others. And it's not only looking up, it's just take whatever they do and whatever makes them successful, then take the pieces from it that inspire you and that help you in your work. Mm-hmm. You don't want to become someone else or copy them, but it's really just becoming your own.
Yeah, it's just knowing that it's possible, right? That's basically, Cool.
One thing that shocked me, what you said, is that the numbers between, 2023 and 2024 dropped, actually, for female founders. Why do you think that is? I would expect, the rise and...
I think that's, again, macroeconomic developments. Geopolitically, what we see in the world, inflation going up, insecurity rising, and... starting a business is a freaking risky decision to make, and people are looking. That's also, it's not only female entrepreneurship that decreases, also entrepreneurship in general.
That's good to know. Because I was praying for being everything going down, because otherwise it would be a tough marketing, for the whole community. So it's cool. Yeah,
so it's insecure environments, then. The VC landscapes, the investment landscape also shifted. VCs are not only investing in hyper-growth companies anymore, where it's about solely FOMO. You see leading VCs being in a space, you just want investing in a deal you just want to get on. VCs are looking a lot more at the road to profitability, and you need to have more solid business structure in place, and that. That with the access to funding not being as present anymore, or being more challenging in comparison, in addition to the general development.
Okay, I mean, interesting. I have to say, I really wasn't aware of that change. So, thank you for sharing that.
Let's go to the next box, please.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think the one is pointing at you. Yeah.
What's one unwritten rule in the VC world that accidentally keeps diverse founders out, and how do we break it? So unwritten rule is, again, as I said before, it's the bias that many investors have. So how do we break that? Is by also not only fostering female entrepreneurship, but also bringing more women into the investment teams, and not only as in junior positions, but as the investment partners, and actually the ones making the decision. And I'm taking women as an example, but that's translatable to diversity as a whole. So that's one unwritten rule, is the unconscious bias and the biases that exist within the investment teams. And if we foster more diversity, more inclusion there, we're going to their portfolio companies are going to become more diverse.
For sure, yeah.
Perfect.
Next box.
Last box.
All right. There was no food question yet.
Well, you never know.
No, it's again diversity. No. It seems to be a press. It's a hot topic.
It is a hot topic.
Would you invest in a founding team if they are all brilliant but have zero diversity? Oh, that's a good question.
It's a tricky one.
It's a tricky one. I think it always depends also on the stage of a company. If they're super, super, super early stage, there's still so much freedom to shape, and you can always foster. Maybe they bring in an additional co-founder, whatever skill set is already in place. I think if it were a company that is, already at a later stage, I would at least advocate that they have a really strong C-level team. Maybe not within the founding team per se, but if it's a disruptive business that is gonna change the world for better, it would be stupid not to make an investment. Even as an impact VC, of course, it's they have their guidelines as well, and they want to follow them, and they're gonna advocate at least within the C-level team. Maybe it's not within the founding team, but that there's diversity there, because a VC is interested also, in the economic growth of a company. And I said 60%. Companies are 60% more profitable if they have a diverse C-level team. So it should be in everyone's interest.
It's an interesting time we're living in. The topic, it's so sensitive that decisions that would be super easy to be made become complex, like this one, right? Because also there is the whole, let's say, public view pressure, right? Like, for example, now you had to think, because am I going to put myself into throw myself in the mud or not, right? I don't think I would think too much to answer that question. I would say yes, because I'm an investor. I want a team that works properly. They're brilliant, as the description is saying. Say, yes, that's what I'm looking for, right? It's... I love it that we're in this phase where we're rethinking our values, because that's the only way we can move forward. But I can also seek this kind of, I don't know how to call it, let's call them awkward moments in which the rethinking the whole situation gets also in the way of reaching the goal, right? So I find it interesting, this moment. I think at one point we're going to laugh on these things, It's like the comedians, they're going through a whole revolution because they've been questioning about what they do jokes about, right?
I think it's also, the intergenerational conversations I'm having. If my grandma is super open-minded, but I explained to her that gender is fluid, and now she understands it, and pronouns, like she got it now. But when you talk to Gen Z people, like, for them, it's not a question anymore. Of course, everyone has their own gender definition, and it's not something even to be addressed. It's for them, it's given standard.
Yeah, exactly.
Thankfully, at least in cities or in countries we're in.
Yes.
For now.
Let me collect the boxes. Can you please pass me the last one?
Of course.
Thank you very much.
It's the boxes didn't deliver many food questions. Let me start with one. So, could you tell us what is Food Campus?
So with Food Campus Berlin, we are building a big innovation center for the future of food here in Berlin. And why do we believe that Berlin needs a place like that? Is because our food system is facing tremendous challenges. We have international innovation pressure. We have lack of skilled workers, and we have the global crises, global climate crises above all. And our food system is the single largest contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. Over 30% of greenhouse gas emissions come from the food industry. That's double of what of anything mobility is. And in the general conversations, we often, when we think of climate transition, we think of electricity and mobility. But food is is an even bigger driver, and people don't really consider that yet. So that is one element. Then biodiversity, over 70% of species that are dying out, plants, animals, is directly linked to the food system. Freshwater use is a big driver. Over 50% of fresh water that is used for the food production and the whole value chain. So we see the food system is not only about enjoying something on your plate, it has an impact on the future of our planet. And we believe that there are already many good solutions out there. I mentioned, as an example, the nut case study in the beginning, but they're not at scale yet. And we are living in a hyper-digitalized world, but as I said, also the beauty of serendipity, of meeting people, of randomly getting inspired, that's not fully structured, that you can't replicate in a Zoom meeting. And that's why we want to create a physical hub that is really the place, the home for anything with food innovation in Germany. And my personal vision is when you think of an innovation hub for tech, you think of Silicon Valley. When you think of the finance world, you think of Wall Street. And I would love for people, when they think of the future of food, of innovation within food, to be thinking of Berlin.
Nice. That's very cool. I like that bold like statement for future of Berlin. But let me ask you like this. Do you think it's on us as individuals, as consumers, to drive the future of food? Or is it something that it's more responsibility on the corporates that are part of that food system?
The food system transformation, it's an all hands on deck situation. We need consumers. That's one key stakeholder, because consumers drive demand, and demand drives the offers that companies create. We need regulations. Also, it's a key driver. I meant the test environment, for example, even for cell-based, or reaching market readiness. Regulatory is crucial. Also, one quick example: plant-based meats and dairy products are still taxed with 19% VAT versus animal-derived products are 7% VAT. So you already have the financial disadvantage for the alternative products within the regulatory space. So that's another key stakeholder. And then, of course, it is the startups that create innovation that are the speedboats, but the corporates are another key stakeholder that actually adapt those innovations and bring them to scale.
And oh, sorry.
No, go for it.
Yeah. So maybe thinking about the corporates and the role of Food Campus. So with Food Campus, I saw you work already with some of the biggest names in food production or in food value chain. What's one thing you learned about working with this type of companies or corporations?
So I've worked within a corporate or in the German Mittelstand. And it's not translatable. Like there's the multinationals, they have really set up innovation infrastructure, but the hidden champions in Germany, or the backbone of our economy, is the German Mittelstand, the SMEs. And within the SMEs, you often don't have a set innovation structure yet. So I don't know if you guys know the book Innovator's Dilemma. It's by a Harvard professor, Clayton Christensen. And I firsthand experienced that it's not only a book title, it's real. The Innovator's Dilemma is that companies want to innovate, but then their internal processes are a barrier to actually creating innovation, out of the box thinking, and then being able to implement these innovations within times. And I'm a strong advocate for the fact that you don't need to build everything in-house. It's about collaborating with external partners, which could be startups. And that doesn't only, there's a toolbox of different ways of how you can, as a startup and corporate, can collaborate. There's the classic investment, there's co-creation, there's venture clienting, there are incubators, accelerators, etc. There's so many different models that are also more low budget, low hanging, that you can easily create win-win situations.
And if you had to stick with one, what would have been the one thing you've learned from this experience?
Collaboration is the new competition. So one of the key terms I like to use is the future, or our world, is way too complex. That a company alone is gonna change things on their own. It's not about doing things, being the best at everything by yourself anymore. It's really about finding strong partners and collaborating with them. And this way, everything is going to move faster.
And thinking about, I love that, by the way, collaboration. You're not the first one on this talk show that mentioned that, I have to say, which makes me very happy also, that many people who are leading the future are talking about it. But thinking about Berlin and Food Campus particularly, knowing that not many corporate companies have a headquarter in Berlin, how can we access them to discuss innovation or to collaborate with them as a startup here in Berlin?
Through the beauty of Food Campus Berlin. We have some corporates that are going to move in with their innovation and R&D units, for example. And they want to, the corporates, even though they might have their headquarters elsewhere, they will have representatives, certain departments within Food Campus. And why are they doing that? Is yes, exposure and connection to the startup ecosystem, but also, as I mentioned before, like we also have people that are the CSR people, or that work in public affairs for corporates that are going to move into the Food Campus, because closeness to the policymakers is crucial as well. So it's really bringing different elements together. And the third is Berlin as the early adopter testing ground. We have almost 4 million people, and 4 million people that are open-minded to test and try new innovations. You can't find that elsewhere in Germany.
Yeah.
Love it.
I'd like to jump a little bit into impact and sustainability. What is a real measurable impact metric you wish every founder and VC would start reporting, but beyond job creation or carbon credits?
ESG, we can look at environmental, we can look at social, and we can look at governmental. I think one key element that is contributing to all is, as we also saw with the questions, is diversity. Is diversity a key element within your company, within your team, but also within whatever product and service you offer? And also there's the big conversations around AI models that are biased, that are not diverse in terms of the algorithms. And that could also be, I recently had a conversation with a woman. She is creating beauty products for African women, or women of African heritage. And because they have completely different hair structures and that are completely undervalued by the general beauty industry. So it's really looking at diversity in terms of your own company setup, but also in terms of the product services you offer.
Yeah, very smart. It makes total sense, right?
And as a VC, how do you measure that return on investment that goes kind of beyond the financial? So how do they make an impact? Like, are you able to measure that?
So it's a challenge. There's not like the one size fits all solution of an impact framework. Many VCs have their own criteria set, their own impact frameworks, and that is also makes it not easily comparable. So yeah, I think that's the. I mean, every VC defines their own, and that could be, if it is, if you take more climate-focused VCs, they of course look more on the environmental. Then you have impact VCs in general that look more on ESG in general.
I'd like to jump now into a big topic, which is German bureaucracy.
Ooh, our favorite topic.
Yeah, I'd like to ask you, what is your experience? And I would like to even be more specific, like, what is your experience? What have you learned? What are the 3 tips and tricks you could share that you learned navigating German bureaucracy as a founder, and as an investor? I
think first is don't underestimate. Like, be aware. We're not some of the Scandinavian companies or where you can start a company within 10 minutes. Germany still has, as you said, it's a administrative monster sometimes. It's a lot of bureaucracy, and be aware of that, so that things might take longer. Also, if you have first investors already in place, first you need to, if you haven't established the company yet, that's one thing. But opening a bank account, and then by the time you're going to be able to actually accept capital, that can be a few weeks. So really have that within your timing, within your planning. And then it is, the beauty of AI now. Nowadays you can translate all these different forms and documents and try to get help. You're not the only one facing these challenges. So that's in terms of just dealing with it. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, on the other hand, try to support any initiative that is advocating for less bureaucracy within the startup ecosystem. The Startup Verband, the Startup Association, they are doing a fantastic job on really lowering the barriers for internationals to actually join Berlin, join Germany as a startup.
So you would say first one is be aware of the timing that it takes to start the business. Second one is ask for help, be it from professionals or just people that has navigated that situation already.
Yes.
And the third one, it wasn't completely clear for me.
Support initiatives that are advocating for less bureaucracy.
Okay, be whatever you can do it to help make it.
Change it.
Because it's not always, it's not only about taking, it's also about giving, and see how you could contribute maybe to these initiatives, and that again, in the longer picture will also benefit you.
And speaking about contributions, because you mentioned policy making quite a few times, in relations to food systems and the need of it. How can, for example, foreign-based founders coming with a startup to Berlin influence or engage with them? How can they change it? Knowing that German might be a barrier, knowing that understanding the system might be a barrier. What are some of the ways that, they can be helped?
So, supporting NGOs that are active in that space, signing petitions, that's one thing. But it's also, if you have an international background, that's amazing because you bring in another perspective. Maybe they're best practices you've seen within the countries you're from, of things that are working there that are not working here, and try to bring that to the awareness. And that doesn't mean, it depends on how long you've been here. If you have German citizens, you're able to vote. If you're not able to vote, there's still many NGOs you can support that are advocating for whatever topic you are interested in.
Nice.
Oh, interesting. So now we're going to jump to the questions out of the guest book. So in the show, we have a guest book where every guest leaves us their feedback. And they also leave a question for the next guest without knowing who is the next person. So we have here, on the right side, you have the question. Okay. You can read out loud and then answer.
If you could change one thing about your industry, what would it be?
That's a good question, yeah.
I said that before, but really changing the mindset, the openness to collaboration. Also collaboration within the industry that don't see other companies as your competitors, but see a large system change that we need, and then really see who can you collaborate with in order to get there. And I think that's a very German thing. I've seen that with many German companies I have conversations with. They always ask me who is there from my industry, like their specific industry, but they're asking that because they want exclusivity. Yeah. And then I talk to international companies. They ask who else is there from my industry because they want to collaborate. Yeah. And really seeing that in so many conversations, I feel like there's so much work we need to do in terms of the mindset to collaborate more.
It's amazing your answer, because we had a guest in the show, and she was exactly talking about that a lot in the interview, about the collaboration and collaboration over competition and all this kind of thing. So I think that there is already a movement on that direction. So I can see that as a possible future, because the conversation is already in place, right? So
definitely.
Yeah,
totally. I love that answer.
Great approach to it, yeah.
So we have one more special section, which is called Rapid Fire Questions. Mm-hmm. So, why did you decide to co-create the Food Campus?
Because I know we need a food system change.
Clear. What is the biggest lesson you've learned working on the intersection of investment, diversity, and tech?
That there are unconscious bias on all sides, within women, within men, within startups, within VCs. Really, that we need to reflect our own beliefs that we have, and it always starts with that. And once you reflect on your own beliefs, you cannot unsee those things.
What is the biggest challenge you have experienced as a founder or as an investor?
Being too opportunistic. With my first company, we built a D2C brand for herbal supplements. And so D2C was our main focus, but then we got an offer from retail. Okay, and we had a small team. They were like, okay, let's also sell our products in retail. Then we got the offer to be selling our products in an airline. And then we decided, okay, let's jump on that. And it's like, we were spreading ourselves too thin with such a small team. And really, so key learning is laser focus on one channel first and execute and become a champion there, and then you can diversify.
Such a good advice. What is the biggest achievement you are proud of in your work you're doing?
Coming back to to community, really seeing, like, connecting dots. So I co-founded Nutrition Hub. We're Germany's leading think tank and community for food and nutrition experts. Which is in Germany, we have over 30,000 food and nutrition experts in that network. Now with Women in Climate Tech, we're building a network for female entrepreneurs and investors. In Food Campus, we're doing that on a large scale for the food industry. And it's really seeing through the networks and communities I've created, or I've helped co-create. It's never work on someone alone. It's always a team, and seeing how all these interlinks happen, and people start collaborating, or new companies start being founded, and just because of a platform we created, that's for me is the most beautiful thing of seeing other people, other companies collaborating. Yeah,
it's very nice. Last one. What is one advice you would give to someone wanting to start a career or business in impact and sustainability area?
One advice, it's not only impact, and it's more of starting a company in general, is don't shy away from talking to as many people about your ideas as possible. Because, again, a very common German mindset is like, okay, I have a great idea, but like they're going to copy it if I tell them. So it's like, no. No one has your experience. No one has your unique skill set. People are not going to copy exactly what you do. And so really have conversations with as many different people, as many different stakeholders, mentors, etc., as possible, because you're going to get so much valuable input. And there's so much you can learn from other people's mistakes that you don't have to do them yourself.
Amazing. Beautiful.
So many nicely packed advices. Really, bravo, Leah.
Thank you very much.
Such a good job on the rapid feed.
Thank you very much, Leah. So now
we could keep going. I'm enjoying this.
It's nice, the rapid fire situation.
Yeah,
we should create a full format. Really, it's just tick, tick, tick. Now
it really, I think the best answers are always the ones if you just don't think too much about it. Intuitively to answer. And this is good. It's a nice format.
We're definitely gonna go for it.
Yeah.
Now I wanted to invite you to become our guest producer. So we're gonna create together an electronic beat.
I grew up in Berlin, so electronic music more as a consumer, not on the producing side, but
so today,
is in my blood.
You're gonna do it. And what I find very interesting about creating music from scratch or being in the position of the music producer, it's a very good parallel with the founder mindset, right? You need to have a vision, you need to take the right decisions and make the right choices to reach that goal. But also you have to be humble in case you make a mistake and you see that it's not serving the purpose, to go back and change and correct and go back into the right direction. And I'm saying all of that because there's no mistakes. Everything is welcome here. So let's put our headphones and jump at it. We're going to start a song from scratch.
Okay.
The first thing we should do is to choose the speed of the song. Let me just put so you can also hear.
Slightly quicker.
Okay, cool. Like this?
Yeah, this is good.
Cool. So now, would you like to start with drums, bass, chords?
Let's go with the drum.
Yeah, okay, cool. I'm show you the sounds, you tell me the one you like it.
I like that.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, you'd like the kick on the floor, like, or you'd prefer more groovy, more...
Groovy, definitely.
Okay, so...
Gotta be danceable.
Yeah. Yeah, you like it?
I like it. Who needs a club when you have your podcast, right?
I didn't.
It's like the silent disco setup.
I didn't tell you, this song is going to be used as the soundtrack of the episode. So every time a music comes in, is the one we're making.
Nice.
You would add more drum elements? Would you go to the bass, to the chords? What would you like to...
Some chords.
Chords, okay. So, same thing.
I want it to be like a happy... I mean, you're the
No,
producer,
you
so
are the producer. I'm just executing, so...
No, so I'm telling you, like, the vision, and you execute to get there. Really happy, danceable music, because there's so much negativity around us, and we need more
I totally
positive,
agree.
happy moments.
So I'm gonna show sounds, and you choose one, and then we do the chords.
All right. The first.
Should I keep going, or you already wanted the first one?
I like the first one.
Okay.
I'm a very intuitive. Yeah, that. It's very vibey.
Yeah, you like it?
Feels like having an Aperol Spritz at my Lochufer. kind of vibe.
Okay, now it's in place. Okay, what else would you add?
Let's add something fun.
Yeah.
Like my grapes again, or
Yeah,
whatever.
I like the idea.
Something
Let's add
something
grapes.
unique. I mean, there's so many. Also, I mean, you're the music guy, so I don't know what it's called. But when you have like hidden sounds within a song, like
Yeah.
the sound of the U-Bahn.
Yeah, the background sound.
Czetwertynski had
yeah.
that in one of his songs. It's like the sounds of the U-Bahn, and it's the average person doesn't understand that sound. But when when you're from Berlin, you're like, wait, I know that sound very well.
Okay, so let's add the grapes. I
mean, the
the
grapes.
idea.
No one knows the sound of a grape, but let's do it.
Okay, so try so I see it.
It's like stairs.
Yeah.
Let's do it speed. I think someone walking
Almost
up
like a
this.
heart.
And try to do just like the...
Yeah. That's,
Okay. Keep going. I got it. Let me make it louder.
Such a gentle sound. Oh.
feels like rain. It sounds like rain.
Like rain, no? Yeah.
It's like January in Berlin.
Nice, I love it. The texture. I feel it's missing a hi-hat, like a shaker.
Yeah.
Which one you like? Out of these three.
you show them again. That one. Yeah.
This one?
That's the loudest. Ooh. No, not the first.
This or this?
This. Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I think that to be like an electronic beat or just to be a proper song, it's missing a bass, right?
Yes.
You choose the sound you like, okay?
Definitely not the last one. That was hurting my ears. What do you think? Let's co-create this.
Ooh, never anybody asked me that. Well, I like actually that. That's a bit more melody to it.
You like it?
Yeah.
Can you live with it?
Of course.
Super funky, huh?
Yeah, I like it.
Like my own
Definitely
beat.
When can I buy the record? I love it.
Amazing, we have the beat.
Yes.
So now for the grand finale, I'm gonna ask you to grab that box, please. Yeah, put it there, the table. Yeah, not there because it's gonna be in front of you. Put it more to the side. Yeah, give me the book. Yeah.
May I open?
Please open. Choose one for yourself.
Ooh. I have to choose. So this is
Thank you.
like an Easter egg with rice in it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, today I'm going to squeaky things. What do you do with this? Oh yeah, like this. Like a little bird.
Okay, so now basically we're gonna jam over it.
So beautiful spring sounds, like the
Right?
bird and the Easter egg.
Birds, exactly, it's so fitting.
You ready?
I think.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. Would be nice if you tell me something now there.
Like a word.
So I'll record.
Berlin.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Berlin. Berlin. Berlin.
So you two are gonna do the end. I'm gonna stop the music and you do like and you do the last breath.
Berlin. 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 Berlin.
1,
Berlin.
1, 2,
Berlin.
3, 4. Yay!
Nice, congrats. Very well done, Leah.
This was
Super
perfect
nice.
collaboration.
Don't
leave
Thank
me
you.
hanging.
It's really
Oh,
fun.
sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh my God, that was fun. So, Leah, thank you so much for your openness, for your very well-packed advices. I love your preachings for more collaboration, for being more aware of our own biases, for, with all of that, creating a better world and solutions for everybody in the world. So, thank you again for being our guest and for sharing all of these little pockets of knowledge. It was really nice having you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you very
hosting
much,
me.
Olivia.
I think you two are the perfect example of that positive spirit that our city has to offer, and a real Berliner joining forces with two international people. I think that's the spirit that makes the city unique.
It's so nice to hear.
It.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.